Now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Jasper this third day of September. Secretary Duchess, would you please take roll?
Yes. Jerry Miller,
Here.
Julie Duchess, here. Blake Kruger,
Here.
Andy Smith,
Here.
Dennis Tedrow,
Here.
Renee Caper, here. Josh Cutman.
And now I invite everyone to please stand for a voluntary pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on to the next task at hand is to approve the minutes from the August 6th, 2025 meeting. With that, I believe everyone received a copy of that via email. If not, there probably is a copy of it somewhere with all these papers. I think it's there somewhere. It's here. Yep, I'm sorry, it was not. There we go. So with that, I will take a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as presented.
Motion by Dennis,
I'll second.
second by Andy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, great. On going forward, here we go. Now. Let's go on and start. We are ready to begin the public hearing schedule for this evening. With respect to tonight's meeting, public hearing, we are hereby incorporating by reference into the record of tonight's meeting and public hearing, City of Jasper ordinance number 2016-30 entitled Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Jasper, Indiana, in its jurisdictional area, and any and all amendments thereto, and the City of Jasper Comprehensive Plan. Pursuant to Article 5, Sections 2, 3, and 4 of the DZA Rules and Procedures, presentations by a petitioner shall be limited to 15 minutes. A call for remonstrance shall be limited to 20 minutes, with individuals limited to no more than 5 minutes at the chairman's discretion. Such time limits may increase by a majority vote of the board members present. With that, we have no business items tonight to start with. Carpenter Real Rentals LLC as owner petitioner located at 107 East 14th Street. Looking for a couple variances. First variance is variance from 160705 A1 aka Chapter 7 Development Standards, Parking Standards, General Parking Standards, Minimum Required Parking at the City of Jasper's UDO 2016-30 to allow less than minimum number of required parking spaces. And the second variance, they're looking for a special exception from 160410 B1 aka Chapter 4 Districts Neighborhood Business B1 special exception uses of the city UDO 2016-30 to allow multi-family housing in a B1 zone. With that, I would invite a representative or person from Carpenter Realty to present to us what they have. Please state your name.
Larry Carpenter.
Yeah. Carpenter Realty.
Okay, so we had went by the property, took photos of the various parking spaces that are off, I guess, street parking at different times of the day, several days. So we had dropped those off. As you can see, there's several spaces that are available. Yeah, I was just, showing that there is ample spaces for parking.
And then, I know that, like Adam, right, you went through and verified there was approximately like 15 spaces.
Yes, yeah,
15 spaces, I mean, yeah, so 15 of the code. And I know that, trying to think what the.
That would be 7 on one side.
Yeah.
I sent it all to you. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's
Can't
correct.
imagine 15 people. I mean, just 15. So that's.
Yeah, that's correct. Using the standard,
Yeah.
parking space that's listed in our UDO, which is consistent with the standard. And for parallel parking, there are 15 total spaces, actually, a little bit more than that, but 15 complete parking spaces. 7 on the north side, 8 on the south side.
You say that is on that block.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's not all.
So there's 7 on one side, 8 on the other, and 1 lane traffic. Right,
Just.
and it's not one way. Correct.
Technically 2 lanes.
Yeah, one guys, one lane.
There's
Yeah.
no pavement there, there's enough room for 2 lanes, there is enough room for 2.
The roads would be considered 4 lane.
I mean, you can't drive in the parking lot.
Correct.
But between the 2 parking lanes, there are 2 other things, one for. No. I drove down there today, I had to face the middle, it's not one way though. No, it's not one way, but. Yeah, the lady who lives in, whoever has that garage was backing out, she waited for me, but there was 5 cars total parked like. Not all together. And so, I mean, it really is. Especially since there's no parking made available for the lot.
yeah, it's all on street parking.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
And that happens in.
That was set up as quad years ago, and at that time, the UDO didn't require all street parking, so. Building, right, what I understand is going back to its original state, so I'm looking
Yeah.
at 4 units as the building was originally formed or built years ago. So. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carpenter before we open it up? No, any questions before we open up? Why don't know? Anything else or what?
No, I think I'm good.
With that, I will ask that anyone from the public would like to come speak, please, come forward one at a time to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Did get Mr. Chairman, we did get a few demonstration letters, and I believe some of those people are here to speak, so if I could, go ahead and read those.
That'd be great.
No duplication of statements. Please bear with me. This letter begins, this is about Carpenter adding apartments at 107 East 14th Street. I should be able to park my vehicles without fighting for a parking space every time. It is not safe to park the whole road closed on both sides. Traffic cannot pass each other. Parked cars blocking alley and in front of my garage is a problem now. Delivery trucks, trucks with trailers, school buses, and semi use this street. When Main Street is full, they park on 14th Street too. Circle A creates a lot of traffic on 14th Street both directions. I should be able to park this on Street 2. We have elderly visitors who cannot park a block away. No different than apartments upstairs. What happens when they move and someone moves in with 2 or 3 vehicles? There is only so much room. Now we wait to see what kind of mess Vine Street Apartments will bring to 14th Street traffic. Stop making problems. Carpenter has an ad on Facebook saying he is a businessman and a realtor. Should he not have checked the parking problem before he bought the building? You do not buy and start remodeling until you get the paperwork done first. You have trouble finding commercial tenants, so you want to make apartments before you check zoning. Apartments may be 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. How many people? How many more cars? When the building was sold in 2019, there was no word about changing from a single apartment to 2 apartments upstairs. They added 4 electric meters. 4 AC units, 4 mailboxes, without anything being said to the neighborhood who check this out. What is the future of this building when Carpenter sells out to someone else? Here we go again, bullshit. This is the way I feel, I'd like to keep things the way they are. Signed, Jim Dalton.
Is there an address on that?
Nope. I believe he is at the northeast corner of 14th and Main Street. I live at 1340 Main Street, the corner of 14th and Main. I have lived here since 1981 and have owned it since 1994. The traffic and the parking has always been a problem. With Carpenter wanting to put 2 more apartments in that building will only add to the congestion on 14th Street. I have elderly family and friends that visit me, and they park next to my house on 14th Street. With 4 more cars on that street, there will be nowhere for anyone to park that car coming to my house. I don't like to complain, but I would like you all to take the homeowners in consideration and not allow any more full-time parking on this street. I believe this is Jane Mosley. Next one begins. City of Jasper. It has been brought to my attention that Jasper is considering putting new apartments into the ground level of the building which used to be an old laundromat on 14th Street. This building sits between Jackson Street and Main Street in Jasper, Indiana. I have lived next door to this building for 6+ years, and parking has been an issue on this road since I moved in. I have my own personal parking space for my apartment, but constantly people are either parking in my spot and park me in. There are multiple days when I need to leave for work I would not be able to due to someone parking me in. So then I would have to go knocking on every door surrounding my parking spot to find the owner of the car, and multiple times it has made me late for work. Also, 14th Street is a 2-way street, but when cars are parked on both sides of the street, there's only room for one vehicle to drive down 14th Street at a time. This starts to cause congestion of backed up vehicles waiting their turn to drive down the street, and with how fast some vehicles drive, there have been many close calls to accidents. Then, while drivers have their focus on congested traffic, many drivers do not see if there are stop signs on 14th Street when it crosses Main and Jackson. I have seen many nasty wrecks that have occurred due to these missed signs. In my opinion, not only will parking become even more of a crowding issue if more apartments are added on this street, but it will also make driving 14th Street more dangerous as well as Main and Jackson Street. Thank you for your time. Randy Lynn Miller, 1339 Jackson Street, apartment number B. To whom it may concern. Hello, let me first thank you for taking time out of your schedules to listen and read our concerns. My name is Rachel Seafried, and I currently live in Kentucky, but I grew up living on the corner of 14th and Main Street. The 14th Street area between Main and Jackson Street intersections have always been a dangerous and congested area, and it's not just residential traffic. There are semis, box trucks, trucks with trailers, mopeds, bikers, skateboarders, and the occasional emergency services who all travel the road. Parking and safety has been an on and off issue for many years. Growing up, the brick building currently owned by Mr. Carpenter had one living area and a laundromat that was converted into a carpet cleaning business and then a studio. When I started driving in 1997, parking wasn't always awful, but it wasn't great either. We, all the neighbors, all had our parking spots, and it was tight. During those early years of driving, I very quickly learned how to parallel park, and let me tell you, other drivers wanting to go up or down 14th Street did not have any patience in waiting for anyone to park. I had to pull into the alley several times as I was holding up traffic, and people just wouldn't give me any room. Then, depending on the amount of vehicles already parked on the street, backing out of the alley was dangerous because it was a huge blind spot from cars coming either direction. Sometimes it was just best to go around the block, and if that wasn't inconvenient. Somewhere in that time, the house on the corner of 13th and Jackson also became a multi-unit apartment building, and that had even more cars trying to park in that area. Traffic would have to zigzag around each other to get through. I had to replace my driver's side mirror on my vehicle 2 or 3 times and can't even begin to count the number of times my mirror would be knocked out of place by vehicles passing through. Never once did anyone ever stop to say they hit my vehicle. Trying to get groceries out of the vehicle was fun too. would be no one around, so I'd be getting stuff out of the back seat just to feel the quick breeze of air from a vehicle flying past as if I'm not even standing there. While I may no longer live on the corner of 14th and Main Street, I do visit quite often. I generally park on 14th in front of my father's truck facing west. This is the best place for me to park, but it's not for traffic. Because it often makes the 14th and Main corner a single lane road, and drivers pulling up to the stop sign are blocking the road for traffic trying to turn towards Jackson Street or continue straight after coming off Highway 231. So park on the other side? Nope, that's even worse because then I'm creating a blind spot for traffic that is coming down Main Street. Park further down the side of the street, then I'm taking the spot of one of the current tenants for Mr. Carpenter's building. If I park behind my father's truck, it makes it hard for my mom to get her vehicle backed out of the garage, especially if someone is parked across the street on the other side of the road. So where do I park? Another thing about the upper parking spot facing west is that it has a large storm drain. When parking there during a heavy downpour, the water doesn't funnel into the storm drain correctly and causes more water to run down the road, which creates safety issues also. I want to say that current tenants in Mr. Carpenter's apartments are very respectful in leaving a place for my father to park. But adding 2 to 4 more cars in that small area is going to leave everyone hunting for a spot, and no one wants to have to fight for a parking spot when they are coming home. Then with everything parked up on both sides of 14th Street, how is traffic supposed to get through if the only spot is in front of the alleys? Who has the right of way? Who backs up? Who else is coming down Main or Jackson? What if it's a car versus a truck and a trailer? It could be a real cluster of a mess real quick. What if those future tenants have young kids? Getting them in and out of car seats when drivers have no care because they are in a hurry to get through. If they take off someone's door or mirror, do you think that they will stop? What if a child would get hurt? I struggled with this because when my kids were younger, they got out of the passenger side of the vehicle, but I had to unstrap my daughter from the driver's side and if she was sleeping. When it snows, how are they going to plow the roads and residents still be able to come and go as needed? Parking on the side street, I've been plowed in and out before. Traffic patterns change all the time, scenarios change all the time, but adding more apartments is something that will create a headache for everyone. The problem of parking needs to be addressed and fixed before creating the problem and then saying, oh yeah, maybe we need to do something about this. The 4 corner houses on 14th have their parking spots on the road for them. Mr. Carpenter has his 3 or 4 spots in front of his building. That should be all he needs. He shouldn't just get rights to all the roadside parking because he has a partially empty building. If that's the case, my parents have 2 empty rooms upstairs they could rent, so they get 3 or 4 parking spots, and the neighbor across the street has an empty upstairs, so she gets 3 or 4 parking spots too. What would they be told if this was their plan? Thank you again for taking the time to address the safety of this parking and traffic situation. Rachel Seifert. To whom it may concern. This letter is in regards to the property of 107 14th Street, adding 2 more apartments or businesses. I live on 1402 Main Street across the road from said property. My concern is the congestion it will create with the addition of more vehicles parked on 14th Street. This is a very busy street with traffic going and coming to Circle A on the corner of 14th and 231 Highway. My husband and I moved in April of 1980 after we were married 45 years ago. We have seen a lot of changes to the neighborhood over the years and have always had challenges with parking. The growing of children getting their own cars being one. We know what it is like when the street is parked full. The 107 property was built in 1946. When we moved in, there was a laundromat and Crest carpet cleaning business in the lower level and a single dwelling upstairs where the owners Bernie and Ava Crest lived. They only had 1 car because Ava didn't drive. Carpet cleaning van was there to load and unload. Their son Sonny drove the van to and from his home. We had the car traffic from the laundromat coming and going throughout the day and evenings. When the laundromat closed, it sat empty for many years and with just the carpet cleaning business in the bottom with a single dwelling upstairs until the business was sold in November of 2019. This is when the 2 apartments were put in upstairs, 1 2-bedroom and 1 3-bedroom and a single person business in the bottom with a video business. He was only there when he did editing and worked on the videos he made elsewhere. The upstairs apartments each had 2 cars until one of the apartments started having up to 3 and 4 cars there besides the 2, causing parking on both sides of the road. Very congested. Safety is one of my concerns because of all the traffic that goes up and down the already narrow 14th Street. a lot of walkers, bicycles and scooters. We have semi trucks, delivery trucks, UPS, Amazon, FedEx, vehicles pulling trailers, school buses, etc. There are wrecks on the corner of 14th and Main Street. We have had several vehicles in our yard over the years, and you never know where the stop sign is going to land. I do not want to park my vehicle or my visitors near the corner of 14th and Main. My husband has had to replace several side mirrors on his trucks over the year when the street was congested and no one ever stops to report the damage. We cannot afford to have our vehicle damaged at our age due to excessive parking causing congestion. If you add more parking to 14th near Main Street, where are the cars going to go when they turn off Main onto 14th and a car is in the road driving between parked cars? Does the car back out on Main? Very dangerous. Or does the car on 14th back down between the parked vehicles? Also dangerous. I've seen this happen in the past. Will the fire trucks be able to get down the street and have room to do their jobs if God forbid there is ever a fire in the neighborhood? The width of the street varies as well. The width of 14th Street on the west side of Main is 28 feet wide. The width of 14th Street on the east side of Main is 27 feet wide. The width of 14th Street by the alley is 27 feet 10 inches wide. The width of 14th Street at the corner of Jackson is 29 feet wide. Very narrow road on the corner of 14th and Main Street, 2 feet narrower than by Jackson. You have said the new apartments would be allowed 2.5 parking spaces. The neighbor and us have lived there here 40 plus years. How many parking spots are we allowed? If the 2 upstairs apartments are allowed 2 each, we are allowed 2 and the neighbor 2. This equals 8 spots already. There is not space to add any more parking on this side of the block. Why are there ordinances in place if every time a contractor wants to develop a property, the ordinance needs to be changed to fit their specs at the expense of the neighborhood, instead of the property being made to fit the area? Why do you need to cram people in every square foot? A bunch of dollar signs. My home is where I should be able to feel safe and have peace of mind, not aggravation and turmoil. Why was the parking not looked into before the property was changed in 2019? There are photos included for you to see. If you are still reading this, I want to thank you for hearing me out. I hope you will understand and consider my concerns. I would like ordinance to stay as is. Thank you, Ann Dalton at 1402 Main Street.
Here's the photos, John. These are the photos.
Okay.
There.
Yeah. Good. Last apartment on the same day.
August 18th, yeah.
Anybody who didn't have a letter who would like to speak about this issue? I invite you to come forward, state your name, address, please.
Good evening. Dave Jugger owned a rental house at 1404 Main Street. Owned it for 35 years. been in and out of the property a lot in the last 3 months, been remodeling it. I've seen time the roads were not busy the way Carpenter explained them in his pictures, and I've seen it more as the neighbors have explained it. That is a tight intersection, tight road. You know, Carpenter's frontage for their building, I believe if it's correct, is 60 feet, which is, you know, I know it's public parking spaces for everybody. 60 feet doesn't seem like enough. We talked about the 15 parking places on that block. If Carpenter gets 6 or 9, then what do the rest of the residents in that neighborhood get technically by their square footage or bedrooms allowed in their homes? It doesn't truly affect me. I don't live at that property, but I've been there a long time. Treat the neighbors with respect. That's something that tenants or landlords should do, is be a good neighbor first off, to keep peace in the neighborhood. You don't want to have barking dogs and junk vehicles sitting around and parking spots taken up. Me personally, if I would have purchased that building, I probably would have turned it into a townhouse or a duplex. I feel that 4 apartments is too much. Too much for the building, too much for the parking, too much for the neighborhood. You know, in all honesty, maybe he just figured he was gonna get away with it and push his way through to get the variance. A smart businessman would have done his homework first. You only got 60 foot of frontage with absolutely no off-street parking. And the other thing you could do is, it was a business before, so why not have a tenant rent the upstairs and have their business downstairs? You know, did they look into that? Maybe instead of making the decision, we leave it alone tonight, and in 3 years have Carpenter come back and apply again, and if he can't, leave it as it is. I don't have all the answers, but there's plenty of small businesses that could be put in the lower level, and you'd keep the neighborhood a little happier. So. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? That.
Evening, Tom Bennett, I live at 1414 Main Street. We moved in 3 years ago, and my biggest concern, because there isn't a stop sign at that corner, more congestion means there'll probably be more accidents, so it is really a safety concern for me. We've witnessed two pretty bad accidents at that corner since we've been here in the last 3 years. So, I just feel that more congestion isn't a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil Kegley. I live at 1337 Jackson. I've been there 10 years. Now, I use the alley, and you can show trucks are parking in there. They don't care. There's multiple times. I don't have a driveway on Jackson Street, but I do use the alley because I have a pad back there. People just park there, they leave, they go upstairs, they don't care. The street is already so congested. One, school buses. If you would look at the house that's farther on the southeast intersection of Jackson, the woman there's like 6 apartments in there. 1339, there's 3. There's so many cars already there. School buses can't make that turn. I personally watched the owner, manager of whatever the southeast corner was. Her vehicle got hit by a school bus trying to take that corner. There's so many cars that park just on that corner. In Jackson Street, no one's driving 25. It's either 5 mile an hour, and they stop at that stop sign with someone coming right behind them going 25, maybe 35. You never know. No one knows what's going on there. We talk about safety. There's children in this neighborhood. We put a stop sign on 4th Street. Why? Because safety. What about these? There's only one. Like I said, it's 15 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour. Just same thing coming up Main Street. You cannot see anything if you're coming from 231 to cross going east because all the cars are lined on the west side of the road. No one can see anything coming around there in the evening. Mr. Carpenter showed us pictures during the middle of the day when people are at work. He showed a couple pictures on a random evening, 8 o'clock. No, it's very little. Who knows what day that was? Any other day, there could be 7, 9, 8 cars already parked there. So what's going to end up happening is once those cars start getting pushed, they're going to start coming around on Jackson. Jackson, I mean, I'm sure everybody drives on that street because no one wants to be on 231. It is already a congested street. All the way down there, we're allowing, RVs to just basically park there. It's very tight. School buses, children are running around. Dogs, elderly. It doesn't matter. If you can't see and people are already driving that fast, they don't care. There's no one ever there to see it. We take random pictures, whatever, it's great. But if you start adding more and more and more, if we're not about safety, then, what are we talking about? And if we're not about the residents that actually own the houses there, I get it. There needs to be more affordable housing. But it seems like we're taking single family homes and just allowing anyone to buy them up and turn them into whatever they want. None of you guys want that on your blocks, wherever you live. Your neighbor decides, I don't care. I'm gonna start renting this out. I'm gonna come here and ask for a variance. So are we rezoning? Because it's a B1. This is an R2 community. There was a business there. The R2s don't even matter anymore, apparently, because I can tell you right now, both those houses on the corner on the south side of Jackson don't fit. Not an R2. That is a single family to a multifamily, but 2. There are 4 mailboxes on this building already that we're asking about. There are 3 on this one on the corner. There are 6 on the other. Imagine if you put another additional 8, 10 vehicles. Again, where's the safety going to come from? Where's the fire trucks going to go? If, do say, one of these guys, Mr. Carpenter's business catches on fire, where are you parking? Main Street? So you're shutting that down. 14th, you're shutting that down. And that happens because it is an emergency. We all understand that. But to get all the vehicles in there, where are the fire hydrants? And I haven't actually located them, to tell you, but are we going to start busting windows, moving cars to get to the fire hydrants? Because our safety is the only thing that we really care about. So I would ask, just take into consideration of how many more vehicles you're adding in there with the traffic that is already flowing through this area. Right now, 9th Street's closed. There's extra vehicles running through there. So, how do you?
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay. That. Take a motion to close the public hearing section.
Make a motion to close the public hearing comment section.
Motion by Dennis. Second by Julie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we need to figure out what to do, motions on these stuff. I will point out that some of the board members, I don't know how many, I didn't ask, participated in some observations of all this and kind of detailed some things and our own personal observations. And we had 42 observation times, for lack of better terms, on time zones from August the 7th through August the 20th, 13 days. When I say time zone, one was from like 7 to noon, noon to 3, 3 to 8. So we had different variables and we observed and took an average, and the average number of parked cars, except for 2 of the 40 times or 5 or below, 3, 4, 5, 2. So, you know, if Mr. Carpenter, you know, again, we don't call them his spots because they're not his spots, they're public parking. That's the first thing we all have to come to agreement with, that's public parking. I know people don't like to hear that. I know it's your spot, you've lived there forever, I understand that, I know we all understand that. And we don't want, everyone stepping on our toes or your toes either, we understand that. I know that it's a tight street, I know that, I know we've spoken on this matter up here a little bit on the fact that it is a two-way street with really one way of driving. So, you know, I'm looking at this, one side you said there were 7 and one side was 8, is that correct, Josh, approximately?
Yeah.
Based off the UDO and national averages, in my opinion, right, if it's 5, 3, 2, 1, even talking about the conversion of that to a one-way street, if it ever occurs, if you paid all the cars on one side, you would still, 40 of the 42 times, we would have, it technically did 8 cars on one side. And passed from our observation. So I'm not saying that's wrong, right, wrong, I'm just telling you, our observation for those 13 days, that is a true factual statement in this case. There's 2 of the times I understand or greater than that. And we had 6 for those other 2 times, number of cars, then all of a sudden one's gonna have to go the other side, if you ever got to that point, we don't have the jurisdiction to make that a one-way street. You're on the wrong board, coming up the wrong alley for us to do that, we can't do that. Okay. Jerry, you got, Jerry, anybody?
Well, the only comments I had, like, and I concur with your statement about the number of parking spots. I did several observations and the most I ever counted for 7 on that block at one time.
Mr. Chairman, just to correct the statement you said, you guys actually made a total of 8 days worth.
Oh, I didn't see the back. I think that's good. And none of those are 3, 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 5, 3, 2, 4. So none are above 6 either. Even if I ever got converted to a one-way street, we would still fit all the parking on it. Theoretically, under the UDO on one side. Based on that observation. That's through the 24th of August. So. Jerry, sorry about that, go ahead.
Any comment on that?
Really?
Quick observation I would make is that. While these observations, like, we have done this, we showed up, we've looked at it, I think something that we are. Not including is that. To me, it only takes 2 cars on the street before it becomes a potential safety issue, if they're both parked directly across from each other, and it creates a pinch point. So if there's only 4 cars on the street. And they're parked across from each other at 2 different parts on the street, it immediately becomes a much greater safety issue. And so also. A lot of the times that I feel like the majority of the times that we recorded were during the workday, when we can expect to see fewer traffic, fewer cars. But in the rush periods, the rush hours, whenever people are leaving work, that's when the problem becomes the biggest, and that also includes or paves way to when more accidents are prone to happen during those times. So I do think that it's important to know how many cars are parked on there, but it's also very much important to know where they're parking at and how many pinch points that's creating on that road too. So that's one of the observations I want to have.
Yeah, my observation or issue is just with the traffic flow, that's made worse by parking. It's probably not a popular opinion, but I think if we got rid of parking on one side, it would actually help this issue. I drive it all the time. I get pinch points quite a bit. I don't say people. It's an unsafe issue. I understand the infill and the house. That's just it's no street.
Also too, another observation I make, if we had currently 8 spots on one side and 7 spots on the other, at no time that we recorded our observations would that exceed the allowable amounts on one side. So if we did go down to one side, either north or south, allowing 7 or 8 vehicles, based off what we've seen, that's already enough parking, so.
But you'd add 3.
Yeah, if we approve this, then we'd be
Yes,
at 3,
yes, correct.
which then would be exceeding that.
Couple sentences. Okay, with that, we need to
3 was to allow less than the minimum of required partition.
Well,
That's the variance.
because they don't have off-street parking. That's what you guys. Off-street parking.
No, I know they don't have.
That's what, they, the rest of it don't have off-street parking and the building doesn't allow. Okay, with that, I will seek a motion. Everybody's ready? A motion. Had to do by each variance. Yes, yep, by each variance, please, to allow or deny the variance as they are, within exceptions.
So that, but we didn't talk about the second. So that multi-family housing
Right.
can be one, so. Because if the answer one, the other one might be no, right?
Well, I think the first one, parking one seems to have been the most controversial. I mean, that's I didn't hear anybody say they don't want residential. I just heard them say that getting multifamily is going to cause a parking and safety issue.
Yeah, they're implicitly tied together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because if you say no to first one,
Right.
second one doesn't make sense, or, yes.
But maybe we can clarify that, because my understanding is that there are 2 commercial units already in that building, correct?
I think,
Yes.
I think in the past, I don't know about the current situation, but I know in the past that it kind of operated, that's why I got a B1 designation.
So they need the special exception because we're those in residential.
Yes, full bottoms, yes, the top 2 grandfather. Okay. Anybody? Make a motion. Or against.
I'll make one.
Variance. Parking.
I'll make a motion to deny the variance to allow less than the minimum number of required parking spaces located at 107 East 14th Street.
Motion made by Dennis to deny variance as presented.
I'll second.
A second by Andy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Ayes have it. Motion carried. And then we.
I'll make a motion to deny the second variance to allow multifamily housing in a B1 zone located at 107 East 14th Street.
Motion by Dennis to deny the multifamily housing in a B1 zone,
The special.
special exception, allow the special exception in the B1 zone. Motion by Dennis,
I'll second.
second by Julie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. The ayes have it.
I voted.
So with that being said, it appears that Carpenter Reynolds, the variance special exceptions have both been denied. And what we need to do to decide.
I just need to clarify the vote, I'm
Okay.
sorry. On the second motion for the special exception,
Jerry, Julie, and myself voted in favor to deny. And then Blake and Anna. Or Andy, sorry. Sorry.
So, yeah, with that, I think we are ready to move on. New business. KFAM Partners LLC as owner and petitioner located at 1311 Third Avenue. Variance from 1607-14 E2 AKA Chapter 7 Development Standards, Fence and Wall Standards of the City of Jasper's UDO 2016-30 to allow a fence or wall to exceed 6 feet in height. So with that being said, with anyone from KFAM, please state your name and go ahead.
Brad Eckerly, Brosper Land Surveying and Engineering, here on behalf of K-Fan Partners. Do have Al Mariner with Kirstein's Homes and Designs here with me this evening. So this variance is related to the height of retaining wall / fence. Location would be Lot 2 in University Heights at Meridian Road and Third Avenue. Show an aerial for it, please. So basically at the northeast corner, 2-3 years ago, to the east there, you see the stone that was related to University Heights Lot 1 for the multifamily. So University Heights was platted at that time. Lot 2 is actually zoned B1. When the University Heights plat came about, this subject tract was B1, and then we had a residential zone on the other that didn't change. It was part of the plat presented. So the reason for the request, and when I give you pictures at the intersection there, the northeast corner of the intersection is one angle, and then the other one is at the southeast corner of the property. So just for perspective, just showing you some images that we have there. So I'll just give you a reference for those. I don't know if you want to scroll. So this would have been 2012, the southeast corner. I'm making that date up. So pre 2018. I forget when there were grading modifications to this, but I don't remember. Maybe mid 2000, somewhere in there. So let's say 2018. This is your condition. You see the vegetation there along the north line of lot 2. That is the location of the retaining wall. So this would be 2012 picture, and this would be from the intersection. So you can see the slope that was there at the time and the vegetation presence. And then we do have residential use and zone located away from you there to the north of lot 2. So the next picture would be circa 2024. This was basically with the work performed specific to the University Heights lot 1. There was some fill brought in that transition that slope. So you still see on the north side there the trees located there. And then the next picture will show you from the intersection. So let's go to 2014 here. And then the next picture is what you would see today. So this is at the southeast corner. This is the subject retaining wall related to the variance. This would be the east side. On the east side here, I keep referencing lot 1 and lot 2. We do have a lot line that separates, that kept the multifamily apartments on lot 1. And as that lot went further north, this one was tucked in the corner. And then the next picture give you an overall reference looking north there. So you see the trees and the scrub behind there, and one from the intersection, and then this would be from Meridian. So, and on the packets that you initially received, I forgot I had a markup on the as constructed that overlaid our plan and profile view on this retaining wall. But when you talk about heights, certainly right now that doesn't have the finish grade on the face of the height. So when they backfill and finish the improvements on the front, that will raise that front side as well. But you can see the steps on the wall, steps related to the foundation, and a lot of times typical for retaining walls when we're dealing with elevation change, doing vertical steps versus a tapered wall. So there is a step on this. And then next one, Adam, if you don't mind. So this would be a picture of fencing, kind of explain but basically with that retaining wall on the top side of that fence, not on top of the wall, but on the top side behind the wall, I'll reference it as a horse fence, but a 4-foot tall fence proposed where it would tie in then to the terminated ends of the retaining wall. So in lieu of the option of, as you look at that view right there, in lieu of the fence stepping with the step in the wall, it would be a uniform for aesthetics behind the wall that basically then connects at the termination to eliminate the option to where you can access between the backside of the wall and the fence. And then the space between that is a stone, a landscape stone from the back of the wall then to the fence. So that mowing that would occur north of that fence would be lawn grass, and then but stone then for maintenance from the fence to the wall. As you see, the portable restroom there, just proximity behind the back of the wall, about 13 feet is where the lot line is. And when you look at the skid steer behind that in the corner, there's about 42 feet from the back of the wall to the property. So it's kind of the angle with it. The reason, if you might go to the next one. I'm sorry. So here was the intent, the blue lines that you see in the hatching, that was our proposed profile on the wall. What that introduced was additional grading behind the wall. I believe we had a 4-to-1 slope from the back of the wall to the boundary line. So basically that thicker red would represent the top of the 4-foot fence. There's a line between that blue and that red thicker line that would be magenta. That would be the as constructed concrete retaining wall that you see. So specific to this variance, the ordinance, and Josh, you can correct me here as needed. But the way it reads is if a wall or fence exceeds 6 feet, then that would kick you into that. That wall that you see drawn for proposed does have a section of 8 feet. That green line you see, that's the proposed grade I was talking about. That bottom blue line is basically the top of footing. So that's the bottom of wall that you physically see today. But then our green is coming up. There are sections on my proposed plan that exceeded 6 feet. The overall average was less than 6. I'm not necessarily saying that's why we're here today, but I'm not talking, the 8 feet. We are the dimensions in red, which you can't see very clear. There's 140 feet, lineal feet of length that does exceed that 6-foot height specific to the retaining. And I honestly don't know if it's wall and fence behind or how that's interpreted as far as the height. So, but just for reference, I'm not here to trying to throw a bunch of dimensions to throw you off. I'm just trying to explain that blue was the proposed with the intent that, hey, we have an average, below, but we do have, there's sections there in the first that are 10 feet from finished grade to the top of wall. And then I think that's 8 feet where that top of as constructed wall, you see that leader, I believe that was 8 feet there. So, and then one more, here's just a plan view. I discussed the fence. So this plan would have been the original. The contours that you see are not revised to what this would be, but you see the darker contour lines north there where you can see the proposed grading took it up to the lot line in its entirety. So when I referenced the vegetation that was there, we were coming right up to that vegetation. With the wall constructed as it is, that grading will not occur. That wall was at a height to where basically you're tying into the existing grade located behind that wall that's there today. And then the red line that you see, we're in conformance on the east side to ensure a 2-foot offset is maintained for a fence. But you see that location, did I say 18 or 24 inches behind the back of the wall is where that fence. And then the termination on the ends would then connect that specific to the safety. So really the main reason was, and the modification tied to that was for the aesthetics to reduce a steeper 4-to-1 slope on the backside of that and heighten that wall, but thus that triggers then the a variance that we're here today for the construction wall. And we did not have, I think it also triggered, did not receive a fence permit for that as well.
So Brad, have you guys considered, just in my opinion, putting a fence? I know that you had the horse style fence, whatever you want to call it, with all the apartments and kids and peoples and everything else running around there. I know I could walk right through that fence and without even trying, and I'm getting old. Not as agile, but anyway, get to that fence and get on top of that wall. Have we considered putting a pool style fence, is that what we want to call it? Pool wall on top of the fence, top of the wall, keep people from stumbling into there, even though we had the horse fence. I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out if that's a possibility. You know, we have the pool standards, you have to have the 4 foot non-climbable fence on top of the wall.
I think what he's alluding to is just to the northeast corner where on the previous University Heights, for whatever reason, the neighbors and the agreement was made to place a fence along that perimeter in which the railing is all vertical, as opposed to your presentation show, of course, that the correct display.
Correct, yes.
So I don't know how to answer your question other than the owner thought this was a more aesthetic option. So, and I know that's a difference of opinion. So,
Right.
you know, I mean, specific, you have to I don't know if I'm gonna say this incorrectly, if the ordinance does mandate that we have a vertical specific to the safety.
It is not for this instance. I think this is peculiar in its nature to, you know, one of the things you mentioned was the fence portion being behind the fence. And whether or not they're related, they are related in the scheme of what we're doing, but they're two independent fences. So one's height is not aggregate of the two because it's not on that fence, right? It's 2 feet behind or more. And I think just to help your guys' understanding, Adam, would you go up for one, please? So if you look at this drawing of the green line, when he talks about finish grade and then go up the chart. And Brad, at any point, correct me if I'm wrong, go one more. So here where the skid steer is, you're saying to finish grade, you're bringing in material, be it dirt or asphalt or whatever. That's increasing in height, correct? Not the floor is coming up.
Correct.
And so the overall height of the finished wall will actually be less than what you're seeing in this
Correct.
picture. Yeah.
Because even like the steps, it was like, I didn't quantify to say we're seeking this variance because am I at the peak on the step here? I guess technically to there, but then I come the step, 18-inch step down and then, you know, so is it average at? I just want to say it not to confuse you, like I did.
And so I think in our internal and city's internal discussion, I think what Blake's kind of alluding to on his concern, is that it's adjacent to a residential district and what we're calling here called horse fence doesn't really stop any kind of kid or any person really from accessing basically an 8-foot wall down to asphalt. I think that's the concern that he's.
That's my concern.
Hey, you want to comment? There, you want to comment?
You know,
And there's probably several ways to attack this problem.
Right.
But
it is that's one of my safety concerns in this case, because it's a pretty steep fall. Like what happens on the hard concrete, that would be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah,
I get it.
I didn't get into depth in regard to that,
Right.
just discussion, so I guess as presented would be for your consideration, specific to the fence, not taking away the fence, but I
Right.
guess. I can't speak to offer this, is what I'm saying.
It would, I mean, open up over it. Would anyone from the public like to come speak on this matter?
I have I'm gonna call it a letter, it was someone called in.
Okay.
I don't know what date, oh, sorry, it's on here. Cindy Franklin, who lives at 1111 South Meridian Road, called on 8/18/2025 to express her concern of children and people jumping off the already constructing retaining wall at Ziggy's Coffee Shop. She stated that someone would eventually get injured if some sort of fencing or guardrail were not in. That was the nature of that call.
I'm verifying what you talking about.
Yeah.
Anyone from the public? I'll take a motion to close the public comment section.
I'll make a motion to close public comment section.
Motion by Dennis,
I'll second.
second by Andy, all those in favor?
Aye.
So Brett, I don't know how to see it here other than, you know, I feel like that wall's my personal opinion, and it sounds like others here, but the fence needs to be a vertical pool fence on top as much or something to prevent kids from jumping off the wall or coming to the wall.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say don't go to Arby's and Frozen
Yeah.
for the guardrail that I
Yeah,
have.
it's,
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, I can
No.
counter and I'm
Yeah.
just saying that
I had,
the intent is there's residential behind there, so it was part of the aesthetics.
right, I understand, but I think part of the deal was when at University Heights, we talked about the separation with the fence of some sort. But I think deep down, we kind of felt like it would be a safety type fence. That's something they could jump over all through real easy.
Would you be satisfied, the board members, with something that matched the one that is over on University Heights? Are you familiar with it?
Kind of see it.
Let me see if I can,
Presentation for me.
oh, I'm not gonna dig through your
Right, I know that
presentation.
Your steps. Approximately, do you know how many of those tiers are above the 6 feet? Chance?
I just looked at the lighting. Nine.
Yeah, you. There. So this fence right here.
It's more about improvements. Right. I could live closer, right there. I feel more comfortable with fence that style, that's my opinion. And I feel like it's not as easy, not everyone can just slide through, slide under, or.
Well, irregardless, I think the fence on top of the retaining wall would increase more safety situation, and then you would have set fence back for it. Fence is there to hop over,
Right.
and you're not gonna wanna hop over the fence if it's up on top of the retaining.
You would think not, right?
I kind of agree that the horse style fence, I think it's a little dangerous for pets and also small children, if anything, kids playing with, playing outside, kick a ball or something, it rolls underneath the fence, easily goes over, they could try to go get it and then not know, just completely fall through. Same with pets, they just get, if they, accident happens, pet gets out, bolts one direction, an 18-foot drop, or not 18-foot, what was it, 8-foot drop? The top of the. I would feel a lot more comfortable with a style of fence, some kind of fence that was more in that style, it's just a little bit harder for.
So do we go with can we pass it with that stipulation? Commitment? We could, is that commitment? I'm. Good with that. Good with that. I agree, it's better.
You could, I mean,
Because
it's your to do, but you could also give them the opportunity. Probably several different ways to address this rather than that. I mean, you could give us the latitude to work with them on something of with that intent.
that's how
So approve the variance with the, that, do we still word it as a commitment that you guys, that they work closely with you guys to determine the final design?
That is something that I would report formally. I mean, I think that you can give them the latitude to work with Josh on the actual style of the fence, but I think you would want a commitment that says they are going to put a vertical fence.
a vertical fence.
Whether that's on top of the wall or behind the wall would depend on how they work it out with the staff.
Like you would table this and.
No, I don't think we need to table it.
All right, well, and with that, I will entertain a motion. Everyone's good, we go.
I'll make a motion to allow a fence or wall to exceed 6 feet in height, located at 1311 Thirds Avenue with the commitment that the type of fence is a vertical fence with safety in mind.
And
Approved by staff.
Approved by staff of the, city, Jasper Planning, Department.
motion by Dennis to allow the 6-foot fence with the commitment to the 6-foot vertical, or with the commitment to the vertical fence and working with the Jasper Planning Department.
I'll second.
Second by Andy, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And this, based on the information presented to this Board of Zoning Appeals, you have determined that all the following criteria to be approved, development, standard variance requests will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, that the use of value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner. And three, the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in the practical difficulties in use of the property for which the variance is sought. Therefore, the Board of Zoning Appeals grant your variance as we asked you.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes, to this. Okay. Next on the docket. April Blessinger is owner and petitioner located at 283 Ridgewood Lane. Requesting a variance from 1607-14 D2, aka Chapter 7. Development standards, fence and wall standards, the city of Jasper's UDO 2016-30 to allow a privacy fence to exceed the maximum height of 4 feet in the front yard. So what? There you go, she's already here, she's fast. Please state your name and your address, please, and then you may begin.
My name's April Blessinger and I live at 283 Ridgewood Lane. I currently have a 4-foot fence, as you can see. It's getting pretty rough shape and I was wanting to replace it with a 6-foot fence for more privacy and security because we got so much traffic and foot traffic on that road and I got little grandchildren, young daughter. It's back farther than some of the other fences that are currently around me. So it doesn't seem to have any problem with visibility to turn or anything, and everyone I spoke to had no issues with it.
Be the same height as the one.
No, I want the one right behind it, yeah,
Similar style.
yeah, exactly.
Josh asking you, okay, I mean, Adam, had site windows, no issue.
No, it's fine, yeah.
Visual, I think some issues.
There's 6 foot there and then across the street, they have 6 foot on the opposite side too. Right there, so.
Yep, anybody from the public like to speak on this? Take a motion to close the public.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close by Julie,
I'll second.
second by Andy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Motion carried. No,
Okay, well-
I think both.
Hearing good, so.
Well, okay, take a motion on this one to allow or deny
Because
variance.
we don't actually have.
Oh, I have to.
No, because you're going.
I'll make a motion to allow the variance, to allow a privacy fence to exceed the maximum height of 4 feet in the front yard at 283 Ridgewood Lane.
Motion by Dennis to allow the variance as presented,
I'll second.
second by Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Based on the information presented to this Board of Zoning Appeals, we have determined that all the following 3 criteria to be true. The development standard variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in any substantial adverse manner. And 3, the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is sought. Yes, the Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance request. Next, the West County Museum as owner and petitioner located at 2704 Newton Street. Requesting a variance from Chapter 8 Science Section 7D2 standards for business, except B2 industrial and conservation districts, freestanding signs, monument signs of the city of Jasper's UDO to allow the maximum surface area of a monument sign to exceed 50 square feet. With that, please state your name and address. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Rebecca, and I work at the museum. And we had got a grant to allow us to redo our front sign because it's kind of looking not great. And so we're looking to replace both the normal sign with keeping the same kind of plastic look and then also adding an LED electronic sign, which is the middle section of that. It'll be in the exact same location and the same little landscaping area. So, yep, just a little bit bigger.
Sure.
So our current sign is, 90 inches across and then 53.5 tall with a 16-inch base. And then the new sign is going to be 78, so it's going to be shorter on the widthwise, but a little bit taller. So the base is only going to be 12 as opposed to 16, and then the sign itself is going to be 88 as opposed to the 53.
They're like 55.5 square feet.
Just about 5.5 feet over. And then as far as the sign itself, right? I mean, I assume you know what the sign, the plastic sign, right? It can't.
Yep, no, have to be solid for 5 seconds, no flashing colors. Yeah, I got the list.
Yep, got the list, good, yep, yep, that's good. That's a, yeah, you don't worry about
Big
that.
difference coming down that hill.
Yeah.
It does. I'm kind of like, I see squirrel and I see the signs flashing this phone, so. Yeah, right, so that's good. Okay. With that, how about, would anyone from the public like to come comment on this? State your name, please, and
Yeah, Toby Harmon, Sheila Harmon and I, we own the building adjacent to the museum. My only concern about this sign, is the museum. Well, the people that come in and out of the museum don't ever observe the proper parking. Museum actually owns no parking adjacent to the structure. So we've painted it to hopefully suggest that people enter that properly, but there's always people that are pulling out of this in a dangerous fashion, especially now that there's actual foot traffic in front of the building.
right,
So my only caution with this sign, I do like the fact that it's gonna be a little narrower because our sign sits back, you can't see our island, but it sits back off the road. Yeah, so it's way back off there, so there's no visibility problem there. But just like that Jeep is going out the end right now, so if that Jeep can't see over that sign, there is a safety issue there. So, and there's been a lot of accidents right past the museum. So also going the other way, right where people turn in when the coin show's there or anything like that, there have been a lot of collisions just past that sign. So my only caution there is the height of that sign.
Current size.
Yeah, well, you can, what you can see now, and if you add another amount of height or width to that sign, it's gonna create a visibility issue there that we're concerned about
because
because
it's actually narrow, right?
it's narrower. Yeah, it is higher. And so if these people see the arrows are pointing in,
Yeah.
obviously there's another arrow under that Jeep
Yeah.
that's pointing in.
Yeah.
And we have actually have an agreement. We donated a large sum of money to the museum a long time ago. We have an agreement with them that anybody in this building parks behind the blue lines, because the parking spots there are actually for the tenants of our building.
Right.
And the patrons of our building. So what we want to just make sure is that it's not a safety concern of being able to see north.
Right.
Because like I said, the city at one point put the speed limit sign in our parking lot because we've had people get smashed trying to turn into our parking lot because people come down that hill so fast from the state police post. So the big concern there is just visibility. And if people can't see past that sign, that's the problem. We can't stop people from which direction they go in and out, but, and that's the main thing. If it's narrower, it probably helps. I'm just concerned, that I don't want anybody to get hit there. And I am surprised, we actually had to redo our entire front parking lot, cost over $20,000 to fix the sidewalk problem after they put the sidewalk in. So there's a lot of foot traffic there now. There's bicycles, and everything. So, and there's a lot of people that actually walk on it going to work
on the north end. So that's my caution there, is if that sign changes in dimensions that affects the height profile affects that visibility from north, because that's where we always see the accidents, and the police could tell you there's always accidents in that next little parking lot just north of that sign, and then they're always pulled off into that area. So that's my main caution with any size dimensions changing there.
So Doc, sorry, just trying to follow along, which of those, because there's like 3 driveways, the one you mentioned that you're in, the people exit, so you showed exiting out.
Yeah,
There's the in for them, and then just this to the north, that one. Which of those drives in particular is your concern?
well, it would
That's
be,
affected.
so there's a lot of people, because we have to have come in and tell buses to move out of our parking, because we own basically to the rear of all those cars. The only thing the museum owns is the ingress.
Sure, but
So-
specific to your concern about.
Specific to my concern is there's always people coming out that spot right there.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay,
And if they can't, the main thing is, I'm glad that it's a little narrower. That's helpful probably. It can't go any closer to the road.
Right.
And everything, but if somebody's trying to look past that sign, that's my concern of, traffic coming this way. So, and it's just a caution because
On 26?
Yeah, between Remax and his building. And then look down that profile, please. Yeah, just click right there. Zoom in.
yeah, so obviously that's not an issue. It'd just be people pulling out of that one drive stall, because they're always pulling out the wrong direction. So, but it's just, it's just an arrow. There's no, it's just a caution, just because, and right past where that second pickup truck is, that's where everybody always gets hit. And then they end up in that museum lot behind there. So that's just Sheila and I's caution. And we've been in this building, we've owned it 21 years. In 2004, there was 22,000 cars a day that go by, the traffic count showed. So I don't even know what it could be now. It's probably closer to 40,000, a day, but it was 22,000 cars a day in 2004. So like I said, I can't control who comes out of that spot, but there is a visibility issue there that I'm concerned about. So, and not from, so we're not objecting them doing the sign, but I am concerned about the safety of people coming down that direction. Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I go through that next building, and come out by the light.
With that, anyone else from the public? I will take a motion to close the public comment session.
I'll make a motion to close the public comment.
Motion by Andy to close,
I'll second that.
second by Dennis, all those in favor? Aye. Right, now, I would seek a motion for or against the increase in sign. Variance. They're going from 50 feet to 55 feet, and a little narrow, but a little tall.
How tall is the existing?
50. Oh, no, sorry.
The 78 plus 18. I think it was.
The existing is, I'm sorry. The base is about 16, and then the sign itself is about 53.5.
69 inches total.
That's
fine, yeah. All right, new one's gonna be 88 plus
12.
12.
Yeah.
But since I'm not able to shoot over the side to the right, to the north. Right here. It's not really much more concerned than the height.
Yeah, I would say that I was more concerned that it was gonna be getting wider, because I would definitely be opposed to that, but if it's actually getting more narrow.
It'd help, be right.
So what's the width of the existing?
The existing sign is 90.
12 inches less, so basically 6 inches on the side. Okay, with that, I will seek a motion. For or against the variance.
I'll make the motion to approve the variance from chapter 8 signage, section 7.B.2, stating that for business, industrial, and conservation districts, freestanding signs, monument signs, city of Jasper's UDO to allow a maximum surface area of monument sign to exceed 50 square feet.
Motion by Jerry to allow the variance as presented,
I'll second.
second by Andy, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Great, motion carries. Based on the information presented to this board of zoning appeals, we determine that all the following three criteria to be true. The development standard variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And three, the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision division ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is sought. Thus, the Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance request. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 4 on tonight's new business. The Lucas Memorial Medical Center is owner and petitioner located at 900 West 9th Street. They are seeking two variances. First variance from Chapter 8 signage, Section 6D1 standards for agricultural and residential districts, institutional signs in the cities. UDO 2016-30 to allow multiple signs to be displayed per lot frontage. And the second variance is from Chapter 8 signage, Section 6D2 standards for agricultural and residential districts, institutional signs in the city of Jasper, UDO 2016-30 to allow aggregate size of all signs located on the premises of the institution or public use to exceed 24 square feet in area. With that, please state your name.
Sure thing. Good evening, Meredith Vogel, and I'm the local marketing manager for Deaconess Memorial Medical Center, and I report to the director of marketing down in Evansville, part of the Deaconess Health System.
Great.
So, yeah, thank you very much for having me. So we come back now, we meaning Deaconess Memorial after a couple of months. Back in July, we did have another sign company representing us in July for the, what I'll call the main signs of the building, and those were approved. We had used a separate vendor for these, and those actually went up prematurely in and around that same time. There was some confusion and those went up actually right around that same time that the main signs had also gone up. So that's the reason why you're actually seeing the signs up here now. So that was unintended, but appreciate the board's assistance, I guess, in keeping those up while we're working through the process. So the first thing that you see here are just example signs, just to show different spaces where they are. But first, it's important to note that the proposed are actually 24 of these. We'll call them light pole signs. I don't have a better term to call them. They're spread throughout that campus, both at the 800 West 9th Street and then that adjoining property, which is the 721 West 13th, the Medical Arts Building, which is actually attached to the back of that. So
And
there
it's
are.
all sorry.
No, you're fine.
In the parking lots itself.
It is. Thanks for asking that. And well, first off, the proposed are 24. Once things kind of got noticed and we got, all this started to get back in line, we actually backed the sign vendor off and told him to cease putting them up as soon as our group knew what was going on, some of the confusion that was arising from that. So I believe there's only 21 out of the 24, but the reason for some of these photos and that information is just to let people know that the majority of those are in those side employee lots, but just to offer that for reference. So that is a large number of signs. I don't know, I think when you work there, you become sign blind because they're up, and so I probably don't notice them nearly as much, and that's the true story. Being a marketing manager, we probably have internal requests for signs, 3 a day, and so I know that, yeah, this can definitely seem excessive. I would say that just the term with the property, the relative size of that, it doesn't seem to be as great, but know that that is a concern and an issue that you all had as part of your review. So that is one piece of that. There are 4 variations of this sign. You can't see all of those there, but I think in the second attachment, Adam. Yeah, just to show, this only just shows the artwork. I thought it was important to see examples of these. These could change. They wouldn't necessarily have to stay exactly the way that they're proposed here. But what I wanted to call more attention to was, and again, in our opinion, being in the healthcare industry, it feels more of an educational piece than it does more commercial, just because it's a property that's used, by everyone, similar to schools, fire stations, different places like that. We tried carefully to obviously be tasteful and aesthetic for that neighborhood. But you'll notice too that there really isn't a major call to action here, call 555, to schedule your, appointment today, or, go to this website to schedule it. We feel like there's a responsibility in healthcare and making sure that people do have access to that. It's difficult on a day-to-day basis, surprisingly, to educate people about needed screenings, available services. And you might think mother and baby, okay, well, why would anybody need to think that that's important? There are, I mean, many rural hospitals closing, all of those services, Perry County being one of those nearby us. So again, I can see why it might seem somewhat promotional in nature, but really, in our opinion, was more to educate the public. So those are 4 examples. You can, if you're welcome to see all, you just see all those. And then I know it's confusing. The next, I'm sorry.
You said there was 24.
Correct, 6 times 4 of the 4 different versions currently, but could be adapted or modified depending upon your all's thoughts this evening. The remaining PDFs that are on there, it was difficult to kind of organize this, again, just being such a large property. So kind of bear with me, but you can see, so there's actually, these are color coded based on those 4 different versions that we have, and then there's a legend, I think that's near the back that tells you which one is each. So pink, I think is the Women's Center one, you know, blue, you know, one's baby, one is the cancer services and et cetera. So you're welcome to click through all those. Some of those are not currently up, like I said, I don't think 9 or 10 right now is up. I went and surveyed the property again, just to be sure today. 7 is up. 12 is not, 11 is. There were, again, 21 out of the 24, I think, that are currently there. But again, that's just to show the different variations and artwork. And most of those that you'll see there on these photos, these last 2 right here, those are generally considered employee parking. So most of the folks that are in there are coming to and from work every day. Yeah, that's that legend that's right there. So definitely expansive piece of property, definitely a lot of signs. Surprisingly, there were more of those light poles than even 24. I think that I counted over 50, I think. So it's a big piece of
So all of
property.
them are attached to light, with light.
Correct. I don't have a better way to put it, but that's what we call them with the vendor. But again, a separate vendor from what we use from the main signs. And so it was handled a little bit differently, I guess.
What are the size of the signs?
They are, thank you, 54 by 60 and 14 feet from the ground. 54 inches by 60 inches.
You said there's 24 of them,
Mhm.
and you probably say this, I was staring at the screen trying, as I'm thinking. Of those 24, how many of those are actually just in the employee parking lot as opposed to the general public?
More than half. I could go back and count those to get a better, I'd have to back and look up. You know, somewhere on the fringe, I guess is what I'm saying, and so that's why it depends on how you would want to classify it, but, again, only 21 right now are currently up, but 11 of those were in employee spaces. You'll notice too in the front that just from a safety standpoint, although they're highly wind resistant, we did avoid all of those light poles near the helipad we have an increased number of traffic coming in, transfers, kind of all just a part of Memorial now being really a regional, more than a regional hub for services, but kind of Deaconess is investing in our system quite a bit, and so we're really working hard to try and let people know what all we have there at that facility.
Right, but I guess when you just said that, what we have in the facility, to me, that's just the marketing at one time, right? By that statement, what we have, marketing, I'm not against it, I'm just saying that's how I see it, I see the signs. You know, we had the 13 signs earlier. Then again, this is my opinion, I haven't.
You mean in the July meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
And then we're talking.
Directional.
Yes.
Directional, but these are not directional,
No,
that's my.
No, and I'm not trying to
That's
pass them off
right,
in that way
right.
either.
That's part of my concern is they aren't directional, not really related to.
It's advertising, it's
It's part of it, yeah.
in my, one thing that I do not understand, was this part of the original package with the sign?
No.
Well, not what again, because there were 2 different vendors being worked together, they had no collaboration on this, so you have one group that was doing one, and then another group that was commissioned from our central marketing group, and so truly it was a miscommunication, I guess you might say, so they went up even prior to any sign applications being processed.
but isn't somebody overseeing that to make sure that you're applying for the right permits?
Yeah, I would say that there were, in the interest of aligning a large healthcare system, that sometimes those wires probably can get crossed. I would say that I did serve as that person for the July meeting. I don't know that our sign vendor would have made it here had I not stopped them for that. And yeah, regrettably, this happened on this one. So I mean, truly, I can only just, apologize for that. There's not a lot that I can do for it, but other than a willingness to work with the board and whatever you all might see fit.
Go back to one of the examples.
Sure.
My hope, though, is at least that folks would find them at least aesthetically appealing, you know, for that neighborhood and area. Okay. I wanted to make sure of that at least, that wasn't a nuisance in some way.
Would it be fair to say, I mean, you want your employees to feel good about the things your hospital brings.
Sure. Oh, I appreciate that. I definitely think that that's some of it. I mean, again, being such a large group, there is always that, you know, internal component, obviously, making sure, yeah, I mean, that's not the reason, yeah, why specifically, I guess, coming today. Again, I just view it more as infrastructure, hospitals, the way that you would other services, necessary services in a community. Rather than just selling. I mean, I suppose for a mammogram, for example, I mean, somebody has absolutely every right to travel to, making this up, Indianapolis to get one of those, but that wouldn't really be very convenient, I guess. So it's a difficult word, selling in healthcare, I think it is. I personally have always viewed it more as just an educational piece, but I know that that's one man's look over another, so I understand that. And I don't know that this necessarily, you know, sways the board in any sense or not. Part of the reason I think too that those, you know, were pushed prematurely, these are all applied at every single one of the Deaconess campuses. There are 20 campuses throughout our tri-state area, so.
Same size.
Yeah, correct. Same vendor. Color Max out of Evansville. They actually come and travel the property and put all those up, is what I'm told.
Yeah, I don't know the public first.
Yeah, no, sure.
Anyone from the public like to come speak on this matter? See, one with that, I'll take a motion to close the public comment section.
I'll make a motion to close the public comment.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Julie, all those in favor?
Aye. That, to me, does feel more marketing-esque than educational. I like the idea of it being educational, but from these mock-ups, it's more. I don't know, I don't feel like they're in these current ones that we're seeing, I don't think it's educational at all, for the vast majority of people that are gonna be in and around hospitals. I think it makes it look just busier, and I know from some experience on the university campus with their signs they have on their light poles, they tend to fall off and end up, you know, scattered across and ended up losing some of them. And with the way your guys' parking lot is set up, I wonder if one of those falls off of there during any kind of bad storm. Could definitely become some kind of safety if someone's in a vehicle or just walking by.
I can provide specs on that. There is truly, we looked it up because there was concern about the helipad and the winds. It is, you know, some 75-mile-an-hour or something, but certainly all signs are gonna degrade over time. But I don't think any of these are evergreen enough that you would leave them, you know, up it past that point of looking gross, I guess. I mean, we do have a very high standard, I think, in the community. So that would be absolutely the intention, would be to keep those up.
Yeah.
I was also asked in another conversation, important to note as well, with the other owned or operated spaces in Jasper, we do have other clinic locations. There are no plans and no ask to have anything of this sort, any of those either. Just this, what I'll call the main campus.
Right. My concern is other places want to do exactly the same thing and want us to follow this lead, so that's why I hesitate at this point in time.
And the per lot, because it says to allow multiple signs to be displayed per lot frontage. How many signs do you have in a particular lot? Is it just because of the size?
I apologize, but give me the definition of what plot, I mean, what that would mean, Josh.
Julie, that's just really just kind of worded because that's how amount of signage square footage is based on how much your building fronts the street. So that's really where that's coming from, not necessarily parking on.
Okay.
Language on it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Comments?
Okay. What is the
One,
Are there any modifications that could be considered that the board would find more palatable?
I'd like to know
I
how
mean,
many were only in visitor parking lots.
again, there are some that are
I-
between those
but-
10, well, let's say 10 out of the current 21. I mean, in favor of offering more to being in public areas, say that, it was 10. All the ones that are on the east side of the building. There is a very, very large retaining wall up in the backside of that parking lot, you know, where some of the other houses past, not Memorial Drive, I guess that would be the backside of, you know, MacArthur.
Right.
And those don't exceed that, I mean, they can't be seen, I guess they can't be seen by those homeowners, I don't mean it like that, but they're tucked in back up against the back, I guess, so 10 out of the 21. Well, I think the large number, but probably complicates the issue.
I think there was less and.
And again, that it was consistent with other campuses relative to the size of what that was. I don't know that was if we don't have, you know, this number or bust, you know what I mean? I don't think there was ever, a gross intention to, you know, overpopulate, I guess, the area with signs, but.
Meredith, exceeding the 24 square feet.
Mhm.
I guess you're having that many of our over.
Each one's 22.5 square feet.
So take that times the, 24. Mhm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It is, cause I mean, truly, at first you don't know if it means like per sign, but no, I know that it means, I know that it means in total square foot. I do recognize that.
I think it's tasteful, but it's not really big.
Yeah.
The-
They're not like it just kind of blend in flagpole, or the light pole, these are gonna stick out.
5 feet wide, yeah.
I mean, they're very thin. I don't know. I mean, they're,
I'm just-
no, yeah, I just clarify.
I will seek a motion, at that point, to allow the variance, disallow the variances, modify the variance, make adjustments, et cetera, anything.
I'd like to modify it to maybe 12, not 24, but I'm just saying that arbitrarily. I just feel like 24 is just a lot.
It's all over their campus, so. You might.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I make a motion. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion. To allow the variance from chapter 8 signage, section D1 standards. Of the city of Jasper's UDO 2016 to allow multiple signs to be displayed per lot frontage with the modification that it's only allowed. In 8 visitor poles. So, or visitor light poles,
So you're allowing 8 signs,
8 visitor
parking.
lot only. Make that motion. Does anyone want to second that one?
I would second that motion.
A second by Dennis. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
And it,
I know.
that might be a.
I make sure I understand exactly what you're saying, so I want to make sure we do exactly what you say. When you say 8 in visitors, that mean 8 in total for the
Yes.
campus? Okay, thank you. No,
8
because
total campus.
using the word visitor and employee
Visitor,
lots could
yes.
mean something different, so, yeah,
And the visitor parking lot, yes.
sure.
Okay,
Can I also ask another question? What is the time limit that we have with that vendor comes this like once every couple weeks to get the other ones down so that we're in compliance?
When do you expect them?
I wouldn't know without contacting our central office, but I think he's here like once every couple of weeks, I think. So we would just ask that he come on there for, I think that should be
Is that
fine.
fine?
that's
Yep.
fine, thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Then I'm gonna make a motion to allow the variance from chapter 8 signage, section 6D2 standards. Of the city of Jasper's Unified Development Ordinance 2016 to allow an aggregate size of all signs. Location on the premises to other institutional or public use to exceed the 24 square feet. Based off the 8 signs at the 54 by 60 dimensions. In the visitor parking lot. How about that? Does that work? Did you get that? Work somewhat? Yeah. Make the motion, the second. Second by Julie, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great.
And I guess I want to clarify.
Yes.
When you said the total of 8 signs, you meant signs as she presented.
Yes, sorry, that 8 signs and the. Okay. Based on the information presented to this board of zoning appeals, we have determined that all the following 3 criteria to be true. The development standard variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use of value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And through the strict application of terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision division ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is stalled. Thus, the Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance request as we presented. And finally, the 5th item on the docket tonight, Valley Apartments 1 LLC as owner and petitioner located at DCB Plaza, seeking 2 variances. Variance from chapter 8 signage, section 8B1 standards for the central business district of the city's UDO 2016-30 to allow the signage areas to exceed 1 square foot for every linear foot on the facade of the ground floor of the structure. And the second variance is chapter 8 signage, section 8B2 standards for the central business district of the city's UDO 2016-30 to allow a monument sign in the B2 zone. With that, please state your name and who you're with, and
I'm David Ublor. I'm the operations assistant for Premier Properties. We recently acquired the Old National Bank building, and we're trying to get adequate signage that can be seen from the road. We had 2 different artists come in and gave us multiple mock-ups, and this was the smallest one that we felt had the most curb appeal and you could see it from the road. And then for the monument sign, we're gonna reuse the existing base and then shorten it a little bit and go a foot taller so that our logos can fit.
how big's one? Josh, is that a lot bigger or about the same?
Don't,
How much over are they?
it's like 224 square feet or 240. Becky has the application. I don't remember the exact.
Yeah, specific to the monument sign here.
220, it's 221.
The variance for this particular sign right here is because monument signs aren't in the UDO for B2 district and down. Right. Obviously, it's been there forever. The other one, which I think they'll show a monument for. It's above.
Yeah.
It's on both corners, the south corner and the west corner. So we felt that looked the best for curb appeal.
No lighting or anything on it, right?
They're individual illuminated lights, like each letter's illuminated. But there's no lights shining on it now.
How much, you know,
It's 221. That's 221.
what's the?
Allowable's 200.
Limit requirements.
Yeah. I think there, yeah, it would be similar to what the hospital did, in that it's, they glow more than they actually, they don't check light. Yeah.
Same thing. Anyone from the public like to come speak on that? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to close the public comment section.
Make a motion to close